Hello everyone, and welcome to our tutorial video about how to enter archival data into the EleQta platform. Here you find your home page that will be displayed by the system once you connect to it. You can see here that this user has two different elections he has been working on. This might be your case too, or you might just find yourself with just one election or more. The important thing in this page is that you select and click on the Enter and View Data button that is next to the appropriate election. So let's say we're working on the second election that this user has registered to his name. So by clicking on this button, you will display the elections page. So this is it. In this example, we're working in the DRC, but this title will display the name of the election that you are actually inquiring upon. And down here, you can see the different sections of the election page that consists in an orange section, which is the one that we will use to enter and view the archival data. And then below you have a mission list that we will take care of in the next videos. A significant part of the researchers' work during our inquiries consists in looking at the electoral period on a longer time frame and gathering information that circulates within his own home society about the election and about politics in general in the electoral period. So all of this information, which is gathered in everyday life, and that might come from media, from your observation, things that you observe on the street or in your everyday life. It might also come from social media, from other sources of information. Anything that circulates within society about politics and the election is interesting for EleQta, so do not hesitate to enter information even though you're not 100% sure that it might be interesting and relevant. So in this box you see three different buttons. Each one of them allows you to do different things towards entering archival data. The first button is the orange one. It says enter archival data. Pretty obvious. This will lead you to the data entry page. The second button is to view the archival data that you have already entered for this election. The third button gives you access to the archival topics grid. I would also like to stress that some of in some parts of this page you can see little question marks, icons with little question marks. If you click on these, you will be provided with help about the specific area of the page that you're looking at. This is true in this page and also in many other pages of EleQta. So do not hesitate to use these resources to actually get some help. So first button I would like to attract your attention upon is the yellow button here that says Archival Topics Grid. So as you know, when we are collecting data for EleQta, we will have to orient our attention towards certain topics, certain elements, situations, episodes that are of interest to our research method, within our research method. So each different mode of data collection, archival, mission observation, and interviews, has its own different topics grid. In the case of archival topics grid, you have one topics grid which applies to the entire period of the election. If you click on this yellow button, your navigator will display the instructions and the topics grid for archival data collection. So over here you see, first of all, there is a small paragraph of instructions which reminds you what exactly the archival data collection work is, and also gives you a few important pieces of advice. The most important one is that these topics grids must not be considered as homeworks list. You don't have to fill in information for each one of these topics. We expect that you might find no information at all for some of these particular topics. They might not apply to your country, to your situation. But we also expect that you find a lot of information for some of these topics. So for some of these topics, we will have a lot of entries. For some of them, we might have none at all. This doesn't matter. You will have to judge by yourselves which is the information that is relevant to our inquiries. Um, there are two buttons here which allow you to show and hide the instructions, and also to show and hide these comments that are attached to each one of the topics. The comments are useful for you to better understand what kind of information should be entered in within this topic and what exactly we're asking you to do within this topic. These comments can be also hidden and shown by using this button up here. Hiding instructions and topics will provide you with a smaller topics grid, which will be easier to carry around, to print, and to keep in your pocket while you are working on our inquiries. So it is very important that before you start the inquiries, you try and become familiar as much as you can with these inquiry topics. So you should read them all. We also read them all out during our briefings, but please do not hesitate to read them again if there has been some delay between the briefings and the beginning of the inquiries. So going back to our elections page, we are now ready to show you how you actually do enter archival data. So this is done by clicking on the orange button here. And this will lead you to the archival data entry page, which is this one. So as you can see, the first field that you have to fill in this page is the topic. So you'll have to select among the different topics that exist in the topics list. You will have to select one of these topics in which you will have to classify the information that you have gathered. If you have doubts, or if there is no topic that really corresponds to the information that you have gathered, but you still consider the information to be important, you have, at the end of the topics list, you have a generic topic, which is called Other Relevant Archival Information, which you can select if you don't know where to classify the information that you've gathered, or if you think that there is no topic that applies to it, but you still want to enter it into EleQta because you consider it to be important. So let's say that the first example I want you to work on is very simple situation where you have witnessed some kind of demonstration on the streets, not on your mission, but on one of your everyday life. In your everyday life. So in this case, I was going to my university and I have seen a demonstration on the street. So I will create a data entry into the EleQta archive, and I am putting this in the archive because I saw this demonstration not during one of my missions, but in my everyday life. So I will select this topic that is called Forms of Political Mobilization, which includes official and unofficial demonstration, marches, parallel campaigns, etc., etc. The only field that is obligatory in every data entry is the text field. The source field is also obligatory, sorry. But the most important field is the text field. So over here, you will have to very quickly write something about what you saw. So let's say you saw a demonstration. I saw a demonstration against the ruling party in the street. Okay, so this is a small text that synthesizes what you have actually seen. Let's say, in case, for example, you are entering information that comes from the media, you will rather fill this text box either with the text of the article that you're entering or with a synthesis of the article, the video, or whatever media content you are posting. This article is about the demonstration against the ruling party, is about a demonstration against the ruling party. Or, for example, this video is about a demonstration ruling party, and then you might also want to go into greater detail about what you see in the video, etc., etc., especially if for some reason you're not able to upload the video, which is of critical importance. Anyway, there are different situations, and the text box must always be filled in with a synthesis of what you have saw or a synthesis of the information that you are entering. So the next field is the moment at which the information was gathered. The moment depending on the voting day. So it can be before the voting date, during, which if you have seen this on a voting day, after if the voting day has already passed, between if the election takes place in different with different turns, and you are between the first and second turn, for example. Unknown is where situations where the voting date has not exactly been defined yet. Date and the next field you have to fill in is the date and time when the information was gathered. So in case I'm entering information about something I saw, the demonstration that I saw, I will try to remember on what date and what time this occurred. Let's say it was the 17th of January at 11:02. As you can see here, like in all date and time fields of EleQta, you have the possibility of selecting different levels of precision to indicate the moment in which the information was gathered. You might know also the time at which the information was gathered. If this is the case, you will select this option, which says hours and minutes. If you only know the date in which the information was gathered for one reason or the other, you will select this other option, and as you see, the field where you can enter the time has gone. If you only know the month when the information was gathered, you will select this option, and this is for the year. When do these circumstances often occur? For example, if you are posting an article about a demonstration or about something, and you only know, and if you are posting media content, what is very important, you have to take into account that the date and time here are not the date and time where you have found the information, but the date and time when the information was published on the media. So if it's an article from a daily newspaper, which was from the 17th of January, I will enter the date of publication of the media. If it's a monthly newspaper, and it's the issue of January 2019, I will simply select my month here, precision level, and only enter the month when the information was published. The location field is also pretty similar to the date and time field. If it is something that you have observed, on the street, you have observed somewhere, what you will have to enter in the map is the place where where you have actually observed this. So let's say you were somewhere in Kinshasa when you saw this. You will have to find on the map the specific position where you have actually seen this event. This can be done in different ways. The map field is pretty complex. It has a lot of features. The first and most important one is that you can either zoom in and out with these little buttons or move on the map by just dragging it around. You can also select by clicking on this button here on the right side, select to see the satellite map instead of the road map, which can be also useful to recognize some places through images rather than on a simple map. Obviously, the quality of the maps is very variable and it depends a lot on the quality of the geographical information that is stored into the open source database that we're using. So you'll have to try and adapt to what you see on the map and try to make up for what you don't see on the map in some way. Anyway, you can either try and find your position by zooming in and out, looking at the map, including the addresses and the names of the street, etc., and then pointing out your location by clicking on the map. Once you have done this, you will see this blue pin appear, and this blue pin means that you have entered something in the map and that this position is going to be registered when you create your data entry. So one option is to actually find yourself on the map and then click on the position on the map where you think you are, or where you think you have actually collected the information. Another option is to actually perform a search using this little search field that appears here on the top right corner of the map. By clicking on the little lens, you can open the field and you can enter a search term, which can be either the precise position that you were at when you saw the information, or it can be something that helps you orient yourself, the name of a town, the name of a city where you were, and then for the rest, you just zoom into the city and you will probably recognize, okay, this is the stadium, this is the airport. So you will be able, after having performed the first initial search, to actually pin your position more precisely on the map by just clicking on it. You can also try and enter an address here, full address, the name of a street, etc. It is not always very easy to find your address on the map because street names are not always there in the geographical database. So you will have to do some effort to find yourself on the map, to find the position that you want to indicate on the map. There is another important feature which will probably help you a lot. If you are using a mobile device and you are still in the place where you have actually observed the information, you might use this option called Use My Current Location. When you click on this button, your navigator, if it hasn't already done so, will ask you for a permission to use your device's GPS to determine your location. You must authorize Chrome to use your location, otherwise this system won't work. Once this is authorized, the system will actually pinpoint your position on a map depending on the location that is indicated by your GPS in your phone, or depending on where your computer is actually located, where you are connecting to the internet from. So this can be more or less precise. When you use this function, you always have to double check that the result is correct before you actually save your data entry. So you click on this button, you verify on the map that you're actually in the right place. Right now I am in France, so I should be, this pin should be placed somewhere near X. It is not exactly where I am, so I'll probably have to move this pin a little bit this way. Doesn't matter now. Anyway, you have to spend some time to find yourself, find the location that you want to indicate on the map. As you can see here on the bottom left corner, you will find the confirmation of the address or the location that you have entered in the map. So depending on where I click, I see different addresses here. As I said before, for contents, information that is gathered, that is sourced from the media, again, we do not want to know where you were when you found this information. What is interesting to us is to know to which area this information is spread. So let's say you found this on national media for the DRC. You will therefore indicate that this information is spread throughout the entire Democratic Republic of Congo, which can be done by simply searching for the Democratic Republic of Congo in the search field. And then, as you can see down here, all I have here is the name of the country, which means that the information that I have found on this newspaper is spread throughout the entire country. It's a national newspaper or a national TV channel. For the information that is sourced from the internet, you just have to leave the map empty, because an empty map means the entire planet. If you have already filled in a position on the map and you just want to clear it, you have a special button to do that, which is called clear position. So this resets your map and gives you an empty map. For example, if I had found a video about this demonstration on YouTube, on the internet, I would simply leave this map empty like this, like it is, to say that this information is spread throughout the entire planet. If it's something that I have observed, something that has a specific connection to the place where it was seen or found, I will have to indicate the position that I have found the information at on the map. But if the information comes from the media, what I want to know, what I have to indicate on the map, is the area into which the media is spread. So national media, single country, global media, everything that's on the internet, empty map, because it's the entire planet. Might be a Pan-African media, you will search for Africa and enter that, etc., etc. As you can see below the map, there is also another field called location details. This field can be filled in if you want to give more information to the users about the location that you are trying to pin on the map. It is very, very important that you always try to use the map and to use it at the highest degree of precision possible. This field cannot replace the map, so it's only something that you might want to enter if you have difficulties, or if you want to indicate information about the location that you're not able to indicate on the map. For example, I saw this demonstration against the ruling party, and I was at a specific address in Kinshasa, which is now just selecting a place in Kinshasa. Voila, I was in this particular neighborhood called Linguala, and then I'm going to say I was at the first floor of my university building, for example. Well, any information that might help the researchers to actually identify the position where the data was found. Again, please do not only fill in this field instead of using the map. You always have to pin your position on the map too, and then you have to eventually possibly enter details in this extra field. So the next field is a very important field. It's the source field. The source field can be filled in different ways. You have a number of options here at the beginning of the menu, which are researchers' observations. So this applies to something that I have observed myself. Rumors applies to information that is spread throughout society in the form of rumors, which you might hear or you might gather from someone that presents it as rumor. This is in case you source information from media, even though they say it's rumor, the source will always be the media that you have sourced the information from. There is also as an option, this option, anonymous source. This is when information is being published by somebody who intentionally wants to remain anonymous. And then there is this field, which is source unknown to the researcher, which should only be used in extreme cases when you're not able to actually identify the source of the information. As you can see, but just below, you will find a list of all the actors for which there is a dossier in EleQta. As you might remember, dossiers were created for a number of different actors, persons, organizations, groups, media, etc. So in this case, it might be an information that comes from a political party, from an official communique from this party. So you might select this party as the source of the information. But in many cases, we expect you to select one of the media for which there already is a dossier. In case you are sourcing your information from a media for which there is not, there is no dossier yet, you will have to create a new dossier for this media, which can be done in two ways. Either in the dossier section of EleQta by creating a new dossier, as you can see in our second video, or it can also be done directly here in the data entry page by entering the name of the new dossier that you want to create into this field and clicking on enter on your keyboard. So let's say we have a newspaper that's called DRC Today, and it doesn't have a dossier yet, so I want to create one. So I will enter the name for the actor. In this case, it's a media that I want to create, and I will click on enter. Once this is done, here you can see that the system has registered my choice. And there is a new dossier in the system now. So the first thing that I will have to do once I am done with the data entry will be to go back to the dossier section and find the dossier that I have just created and fill in the relevant information about it, and especially which type and subtype of dossier we're talking about. This is a media, but the system doesn't know this automatically. I have entered it, and I will find this dossier now in a special section which includes all the dossiers that I have created myself and that need to be completed. I will show you how to do this later. There is another field here. It is very important that you fill in the source field. Information without a source is of very little value to us. So please make an effort to fill in this source field. The next field is the associated file field. So this is where you can associate a file to your data entry by uploading it to the system by clicking on this button. So if you click on this button, you will see a window opening which will allow you to select one of the files in your device, in your computer, or in your phone or a tablet, whatever you're using. Once you select the file, you will see that there is an upload bar that fills in, and then you will see the file listed here. You can also delete it if you have made some kind of mistake. There is another option to upload files if and only if you have real problems in uploading the file because it is too large and the connection is not good enough. You have another option which consists in putting your file in a big folder where you will put all the files that are gathered during the inquiry and that you were not able to upload for one reason or the other. And then you will enter here the file name, image01 or whatever the name is, so that we will be able to identify this file. Once the inquiries are over, you will give the folder with all the files that you were unable to upload to your supervisor. He will give it to us, and we will be able to upload the files ourselves. It is very important that you try and upload the files yourself every time that you can. In case you are in a situation where the connection is bad, you can always go back to your data entry and do the upload later if you cannot do it immediately. Every data entry can be edited as many times as you want. So you can, for example, if you're on the street and you see something, you can very rapidly make a quick data entry by just writing a quick text and then go back to it. I will show you how to do it and fill in the missing details into it. You have also another field here, which is called reference to the associated file. This field has to be used if the file that you're uploading is very large. for example, a long text or a very long video, you might want to point out where, in which part of the file the relevant information is contained. So you might want to indicate the page number, page 10, or you might want to indicate, if it's a text file, or you might want to indicate minute and second where the relevant information is being shown, if it's a video or an audio file. This field doesn't have to be filled in if the file is small, so we expect this field to be used only in a few circumstances. The following field is very important. It's the field where you have to enter all the dossiers that were involved in the information that you have entered. So let's stick to our example of a demonstration against the ruling party. I will have to select here, since this information, let's say it's a demonstration against the ruling party and the president, organized by one of the parties that are active in the DRC, which could be the PDC, Parti Démocrate Chrétien, for example. You have mentioned these actors in your text field, but you must also say that the information that you're entering concerns them. So they are involved in the information that you're entering. And who is involved? Mr. Kabila is the president of the DRC. We will select also his party. And we will also select the Christian party, which is involved in organizing the demonstration. So these actors are involved in the information you're entering. As you can see here, you can enter as many dossiers as you want here. There is no limit, and you should make an effort to try and be exhaustive in terms of all the actors that are involved in the information that you're entering. You can also create a new dossier in this field by just entering the name of an actor and clicking on enter. As you can see here, I have created this new dossier now. For this dossier also, I will have to go back to the dossier list and enter all the details. So now the following field is an important field. You have to pay a lot of attention. It's a field that does not always have to be filled in. This section here is made to contain additional date, time, and location, which are contained in the information. So let's say I am entering, if I see a demonstration and I am entering information about what I saw, there is no further location, place, date, and time that is contained in the information, because the only location is the place where I saw the demonstration. The only time is the time when I saw the demonstration. But if I am entering an article about a demonstration against the ruling party and the president, organized by the PDC, so I'm entering this article. This article is from a national newspaper, okay? So I will, in my location field, I will simply enter the Democratic Republic of Congo, as you can see here. Clicking on my search result will actually pin it on the map. So here it is, confirmation is down here. There is no more names of neighborhoods and streets, just the Democratic Republic of Congo. The date is the date of publication of this newspaper, the 17th of January 2019. And there is no further detail about the location. The source is this newspaper that's called DRC Today. I can upload an image of the article. If I do the upload, the file name field does not have to be filled in, very important. So once the file is uploaded, it's already in our hand. You don't have to put it in your associated files folder. You don't have to store it, etc., etc. It's already uploaded to the database. So if I can, every time I find an article, a video, etc., I will try and upload the the photo of the article, if it's on a newspaper, etc., something where I can actually see the text. If the information that you are entering is sourced from an internet media, you should also try and copy and paste the text of the article in the text box. It is very important for our text recognition system to have this text. So if it is available to you in a form that can be copied and pasted into this field, please do so. Now, I was mentioning that I'm entering an article about a demonstration that has occurred at another. So this article is mentioning an event. It contains the information that I'm entering contains another date, time, and location, which are the date, time, and location of the demonstration. So I'm entering this on the 17th of January. Let's say the demonstration occurred on the day before. So it's going to be 16th of January 2019 in this field, because here I'm going to enter the date and time and place of the demonstration. So let's say it was at noon. If I know at what time it was, I will select this option. If I don't, I will just stick to a day, etc., etc. Then this article might also contain information about where exactly the demonstration was held. It was, since we are working in the DRC, we will select a place where this demonstration has occurred. Other examples of situations where you might want to enter some information in the second map field is situations where you are, for example, taking a picture of a poster that's inviting people to a rally or a demonstration. Then in this second map field, you will have to indicate the place, the date and time of the rally, the place, date, and time which is contained in the information that you are entering, contained in the poster that you have actually taking a picture of. So you will select the place, let's say the demonstration occurred near the airport. Voilà, this is where it happened. So this is how I use my second map field. I stress and repeat again, this field does not always have to be filled in. In most cases, it will remain empty. But if the information that you're entering contains another event, you must enter the location, the date and time of this event into this second map field and into the second date and time field. The last field in this page is a field where you can first of all see plot and subplot hypothesis here. By clicking on this, you will extend the plot hypothesis and subplot hypothesis. In this case, they're pretty small, so there's nothing to extend. And then down here, you can enter your personal analysis of the data that you're entering. You might write anything here. Researchers will know that this is your own analysis of the data. So in the other fields, you should be trying to be as objective and clear-cut as possible, whereas down here, you can enter pretty much any sort of analysis that you want. And we also encourage you to try and say something about how this information relates to the plot and subplot hypothesis that we have defined together before the inquiry starts. So once you are done filling in this page, you will have to create your data entry page by clicking on this blue button down here. Remember to do this. If you don't, you will lose all the data. One other important thing, if you're using an unstable connection, which might be the case when you're using mobile networks, especially if you're moving around or if you're in an area where the coverage is not very good, the system might display errors when you try to create your data entry. If it does, you must keep into account that what causes these errors is the fact that you are spending a lot of time in the data entry page, like we just did. So there is also a way, by clicking on create very often, where you can avoid these errors, because you will receive a confirmation message, and then the system will send you to the page where all the data entries are listed, and you will be able to go back to the data entry and edit it. So if there is a lot of information that you have to enter and the connection is unstable, please fill in one or two fields at a time. And each time you're done filling one or two fields, you click on save. So the system will save the modifications that you have done, and then you go back to edit the data entry. This will allow you to avoid these errors and to enter all the data that you need to enter into the data entry page. So if you're not sure about what you've done, just click on cancel, and the system will forget what you have just done to the data entry page and restore the data entry as it was before you edited it. As I mentioned earlier, while we were doing our archival data entry, we have also created a new dossier. So the next thing I must do immediately after creating this data entry is go to find my dossier in the dossier section of EleQta and edit it to make it available to the other users. So how do I find my dossier? I click on the dossier button here, and then I will access a list of dossiers here. In this list might be pretty big. In this case, it's 90 dossiers, for example. So how do I find my own, the last dossiers that I've entered? The easiest way is to click on the header of this column here, which is a dossier number. If I do this, you will see that the dossiers will be listed, will be ordered by number, decreasing. So the last dossiers here will be the ones that I have just created. As you can see down here, these dossiers have been classified by the system in a specific type and subtype, which are my dossiers and to be completed. So this reminds me that these dossiers need to be completed. So I will go back to them. Let's say this was a dossier created for a newspaper, DRC Today. So what I will have to do now is click on Edit next to this dossier. And I will have to select what type and subtype of dossier we're talking about. So this is a media, and let's say it's a daily newspaper. Then I should fill in all the information that I can fill in about this newspaper, including acronyms, other names, a description, the geographical pertinence. It's a national DRC newspaper. Some information about its history if available, data, foundation, and dissolution if I know them, and then if it's related to other dossiers. This is very important. Let's say this newspaper is informally controlled by Mr. Kabila, the president. I will create a relationship between the newspaper and the president and saying informally controlled. So we will know that this newspaper is connected to Mr. Kabila in a way that is informal. Once I have done editing my dossier, I will click on Save, and I will receive a confirmation message, and then I will be able to find here my dossier classified in the correct type and subtype. Same thing has to be done for the other dossiers that I have created and that are to be completed. To go back to the data entry page, once I am done with my data entry, I will find my data entry here in the list of my archival data. So we're back at our elections page. To view the archival data that I have already entered, including the data entry that I just did, I'll click on this gray button, View Archival Data, and here we go. It displays all the archival data that I have already entered. It is possible to edit, as I already said, or even to clone an existing data entry. If you see, if you have to enter two bits of information that are very similar, you might want to clone an existing data entry. If you do this, if you click on this button, the system will direct you to a new data entry page, which is already filled in with the information that you have entered in the data entry that you are cloning. So we do not ever want you to make two data entries that are identical in EleQta, because that would be of no use. But let's say I have seen an article about this demonstration, and then I've also seen a video about this demonstration on YouTube. So I will simply make a small change in the text field. I will enter the date and time of publication of the video. Let's say it's the same day. In this case, it's a video on the internet, so the map, the first map, will have to be empty. The source is not DRC today anymore. It might be YouTube or something like that. We don't have YouTube. So we will create a new dossier for YouTube. Voila, here it is. And then here I had uploaded the article. In this case, I will upload the video. I'm using smaller files because it takes a long time otherwise. So here is the video which is uploaded. The dossiers that are involved are probably the same because the demonstration was against someone, etc., etc. The additional date and time and location contained in the information fields will remain the same because the demonstration that is mentioned by the video is the same that was mentioned by the article, so it occurred at the same place and time. Over here I will be able to enter my own analysis if I want to, and once I'm done I will click on the create button. Once this is done, there will be a new archival data entry in my list, which is slightly different because this is the article and this is the video. So thank you very much for listening to this video.